Final hour overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Chris Johnston coming up live from Scotiabank Arena. Leafs Lightning tonight. Monday nighter, Jets Chargers. Got a lot going on in the NHL, a lot going on in Canadian markets. I want to get to this Brady Tkachuk post-game comment from the other day because it's getting loud and ugly in Ottawa. You could not ask for a worse start. The record alone is unacceptable considering they've missed the playoffs for 6 years.
And they dropped the first game, and then I thought they were starting to cook a little bit.
They had 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And
then it was like, okay, these guys are trucking along in the right direction. Things were positive, and it went up in a puff of smoke.
Yeah. Now they've lost a ton of games. Pinto suspended. They lose the first-round pick. Their GM gets fired. DJ Chance every single night. It's ugly. It is really, really tumultuous in Ottawa right now when this was supposed to be rosy and positive, and this is the turnaround, right? This was the year they were making the playoffs, and everyone had to watch out for Ottawa, and a lot of people had that view. And yet it simply hasn't happened.
That's the thing.
It is,
10
but their
games
history is they bury themselves early.
They've earned it. You've earned that. You've earned that thought process because of the last 4 years, the last 6 years. So you're not going to get a pass from anybody because it's like, okay, you got to go and show us. Mm-hmm. But I still think there's a lot of good things there. New ownership. Steve Stais is a smart guy. I think they might have to have some tough times before they go up, but I like that framework. And be honest,
I hear what you're saying. And they've had injuries too.
The injuries,
that
Zub injury hurt them because that messes with their D. Ridley Gregg getting injured the other day. Now all of a sudden you're missing 2 of your centermen, Pinto and Gregg. Again, no excuses because everybody puts jerseys on. They got to play better. Tim Stützle's a top player. He's got to play better. That's why I come back to all these teams that are struggling. I could understand if their top players were playing lights out and they just didn't have the depth or they didn't have the goaltending or whatever. Top players have to play better on all these teams that are struggling.
Yeah, and we'll get to the Leafs in a moment, but that's the concern with the Leafs.
You're right. On the other side, Matthew
got a Rocket. He's got 3 hat tricks, got 11 goals in 11 games. Tavares, Nylander have been very good. All right, so here's what Brady Tkachuk had to say post-game after the chance, fire DJ, the booze. Again, it's getting pretty dark in Ottawa. Here's what Tkachuk said post-game.
Yeah, frustrating. I mean, it's whenever you don't win, it's frustrating, and it's frustrating the negativity from the outside. It's the constant booing and the bull kind of from the crowd too tonight was. I understand that they're a passionate fan base. I understand. I love it, but I mean, when you face adversity, you don't turn your back on the guys out there. I mean, we're playing hard. I know it's frustrating right now, but it's not like we're giving up out there. We're fighting to the very end. So, to be honest with you, I was very frustrated tonight.
So that's a lot of honesty, man. That's raw emotion too. Post game after another loss, I think DJ Smith owes him a steak dinner. That's a guy falling on a sword for his coach because not only did he say he didn't like what the fans were doing, which I think was in large part response to the chance, fire DJ. But he also went on to say, here's what I took from that is why you shouldn't fire the coaches because we haven't quit. We're not quitting.
We're not quitting, but on the fans' perspective, and you talked about
they don't care.
No. They want a different script, as you mentioned, because they've seen the script and heard the sayings, the rebuild's over, and they're sick and tired of it. They got good young players, and it should be different. And we talk about goaltending all the time. That guy that they signed, he needs to start stopping some pucks too.
Yeah.
That's a big concern.
No doubt about it.
The goaltending is...
The players have to play better.
I don't blame the fans at all. I don't blame the fans at all. I listen, saying fire this, fire that, that's not the first fan base to do it, won't be the last. They're more than entitled to their opinion. They pay prices, they show up, and they have supported this team, and it's been a really tough ride for 6 years. I also think a part of that is the fan base is getting a little bit greedy here because Dorian's out. There's a new owner. There's a new guy at the top, and I think they feel emboldened that they can get DJ Smith out because they want a completely new vibe around the team. But what's intriguing about that is, okay, the GM's out. Let's say DJ Smith is let go. They've committed to the players.
Right.
Like the players are not going anywhere.
Well,
everyone's had a long-term deal. Everyone's been given a long-term deal.
I just don't know where the magic bullet coach is out there. Where's Joel Quenneville's out there and has to get reinstated.
Who knows if
he's a legendary Hall of Famer coach. He's one of the best of all time. But who else is out there? Gerard Gallant, I guess. But Gallant hasn't had, playoff success. He's had regular season success. But outside of that, is it young progressive guy? Like I look at this team and I always come back. It's easy to fire the coach. It's easy to say all these things, but players got to play better.
Well, and again, the players have been given all the money and all the term, and I think that's what's frustrating. Also, if
that's
you're
what
a
the
fan
fans
in Ottawa,
are asking. You're like, how long do I have to wait for the players to play better?
I don't blame them at all.
Yeah.
If I was a Senators fan, I'd be just as choked. I'd be furious. They're 4-6. You've been told all this positive stuff, all these promises. Rebuild's done. This guy gets paid. That guy gets paid. This is great. We're coming. And look what happened.
Yeah.
And look what's happened. Here's Chris Johnston, our TSN hockey insider, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. You must have your eyes on Ottawa, I would think, hourly, CJ. Like, what do you make of the scene, and what do you expect to happen out there?
Well, I got my eyes all over Canada right now, in between Ottawa, Edmonton, and obviously not too far from home here in Toronto. And not to mention Calgary on top of that. So, I think that it probably comes at a good time that they get a little break in their schedule after that game Saturday. Don't play again until Wednesday night when they visit the Leafs here. But I think really that's an organization that's wanting to get some stability in place. They have it, obviously, with the longer-term contracts to their players, but with all the upheaval in management and at the ownership level, I don't think that at all they're inclined to want to be making any further changes behind the bench. But, we'll just have to see how the team responds because obviously, at 4-6, they're not a great spot. They're at the bottom of the division, but they also haven't dug a hole I don't think they can get out of. And so there's a lot of mounting pressure. And I think when you're in Brady Tkachuk's shoes, I understand his frustration too. But usually if you're calling out the fans, that's a tough one to win. Even if you're in the right, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to win that argument. And so I think there's a lot of pressure on that team now to turn around and quickly.
DJ, there's always talk about players and Canadian markets and the criticism. Do you think anything of what's going on in Canada has been unfair as far as what has been going on and drawing a connection to the criticism?
I don't. Honestly, I might have missed something out there, but by and large, I think, in Canada, in most places, honestly, it's just a lot of volume. There's a lot of different voices. There's shows like this one, there's podcasts and TV shows and, columnists and stuff. I think that there's a lot of people that get paid to discuss these teams. But, I don't see a whole lot of stuff that I would ever think would be offside or unfair. And, the reason that there's so many people out there that can make a living doing what we do is because there's a lot of fans that care about it. And I think the fans probably in some cases are thinking even more crazy about, some of the stuff that's going on the teams versus what's written and said. So I haven't seen anything that in my eyes really crosses the line. And, I acknowledge it's a lot to deal with. It's a factor of life if you're an athlete or a family member of an athlete that play for these teams. But, to my eye, it's sort of the cost of doing business. That's what you sign up for. And frankly, it's probably why a lot of players don't mind going and playing for the Lightning over these years. There's a lot of positives to that market and everything, but I think part of it too is there's just a lot less commentary about everything that goes up and down. That's top of mind with the Lightning here to play Toronto tonight.
Yeah. Well, and that goes both ways, right? I'm sure it's a lot of fun to be a Vancouver Canuck right now. Bet you it's awesome. Quinn Hughes must be a great life.
Oh, they're loving walking around town.
Right. And you got to remember that when you get in the car and drive to Edmonton and you realize, okay, maybe that's not so much fun now. Right, because the Oilers are 2-7-1. It is actually shocking when you look at the standings. They're 18 points behind Vegas. Now Vegas has played a few more games, but it's November 6th. They're 18 points back.
Yeah,
that is
right, and
wild.
they want to win that division. It was only a month ago we were talking about them as a Stanley Cup favorite or possible team. It's not to say they can't still get there, but that's quite a hole. And they're in Vancouver tonight, right? So they got to play one of the hottest teams in the league where they got pumped 8-1 on opening night. I actually think Edmonton's situation probably is the most concerning of them all. Now, they can point to some factors like their chances and all that stuff is up there compared to some other teams. And really goaltending, I think, has played a pretty big role in where they're at. But, It's kind of wild just the way it's gone across the country, that there's so many fires burning, and that the one team that's feeling good about itself is the Canucks, which have been dealing with nothing but fires for 3 or 4 seasons.
Right. With Chris Johnston, our TSN hockey insider. Leafs Lightning tonight. Nick Robertson has been called up. Is this how would you define that? Is it a desperation play? Is it throwing something at the wall? Is it an earned call-up? He's had a really good start. Like, statistically, he's put up good numbers with the Marlies. What do you make of Robertson coming out and playing tonight?
Well, it's earned in the sense that he's played well, and so he put himself in a position when they got a little desperate that it only made sense to bring him up as a forward. I think that, credit to him for that. And if you're him, I mean, this has actually got to be pretty appealing, because basically nobody on the team is doing anything offensively, other than the big 4 guys that are paid to do that. And so I think there is a real opportunity for him. Now, I don't know, how the line will work out and how much, ice time he's going to get. It's not to say it's going to be easy, but I do think that if you're in Nick Robertson's skates, this is all you can ask for. I mean, the team desperately needs a shot of life, and I think they need some of what he does best. And we'll see where he's at. He can carry over some of that positive momentum from the start of his AHL season. Being healthy now for a stretch of time should be a boost to him. But yeah, I think the Leafs, it's fair to say, have a certain degree of desperation in terms of just trying to find some other players in the lineup who can get the job done in the offensive zone, who can, spend time down there. As Sheldon Keefe mentioned this morning, it's not just about who's scoring the goals. The Leafs have defended far too much and far more than they're used to in the early going to the season. So I think there is going to be a nice opportunity here for Robertson. And, if he has a few good games, I mean, this could turn into a much longer stay with the big club.
That's where I was going to go on the back end. Depth is being challenged, obviously, with the injury to Liljegren on, a defensive core that was probably, I think had to play as a group anyways coming into the season. Now, all of a sudden, you've got 2 injuries with McCabe and Liljegren. Do you sense that, Tree has been maybe sniffing around the league a little bit early? Like, I know it's 10, 11, 12 games in, but you have to be kind of proactive in that situation, because I think there's other teams that are probably looking to add to their depth as well.
Well, and it's one thing that Brad Treliving's known for too, right? Is being one of the more active GMs, just in terms of keeping a constant pulse on the market and inquiring on situations. So I'm sure there's been an element of that. I mean, the Leafs are a little hamstrung cap wise, and the good news is McCabe is working his way back here. We see Timmins on the ice. Not to say he's imminent to return, but these, other than Liljegren, these aren't necessarily long-term situations they're dealing with. And I think at some point in the season we're going to be talking about at least one addition of that blue line. I don't think that rates as a major headline at this point in the year, that this is probably not the group that the Leafs will be hoping to take into the playoffs. And so I'm sure that there's some monitoring going on, but it doesn't. As much as there's some teams that I think are in interesting spots after 10, 11 games, it just doesn't feel like there's much action out there. And, maybe it'll pick up as we get a little deeper into November. But right now, I think you got to be patient. I know, you got to be patient. You got to hope you can patch it together. I mean, at least patch it together last November. And, I think they'll be looking to do the same.
Well, Treliving's predecessor, Kyle Dubas, was a guy that, like every other GM, would make mistakes. But I thought he actually did a pretty good job throughout his tenure here of rectifying those mistakes and not 11 games into it necessarily.
No, but Peter Mrazek type things where it's like...
Yeah, that blew up. It was bad. We got to move on. Now, again, that took him a full season. They couldn't do that until they got to the draft. Does Treliving have a similar reputation? Like, because his guys, he's taking heat here because the guys he signed, none of them have played well. He's even taking heat for the David Camp stuff, and I would guess that was almost done before he got here. Like, that felt like a deal that was probably moving in that direction.
Yeah, it was probably in the chamber. It was probably done by the cap guys going, like, we
this
need
is
this
what
guy
it
at this
is.
number, so we're making that work.
Yeah, Keefe wants him, Shanahan wants him, these guys. So, all right, move on. But, Bertuzzi, Domi, Klingberg, Reeves, like, it's well documented, CJ, as you know. It is not going well. Like, Treliving needs at least one of these guys, if not multiple, to start playing better.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine collectively it going worse. I mean, you can imagine that, maybe the transition to a new team isn't smooth for one of these guys or two of them, but to have, I think especially the 3 highest paid players of that group being Klingberg, Domi, and Bertuzzi. It's been a bit of a rough introduction. The forwards there, Domi's yet to score. Bertuzzi's got 2 goals on the power play, but hasn't scored at even strength. Has seen his minutes clipped in a couple of the games. I mean, it's been a rough ride, and I don't know that there's a magic trade out there. I mean, I think that the focus really that I see is on trying to move things around to help get those guys comfortable, to carve out roles for them. I think that's probably been a little bit something that's lacking. It hasn't gelled easily or quickly. And, I suppose the upside, if you want to second guess those moves, is, those 3 players are all in 1-year contracts, but Toronto needs them to work. And, the lack of secondary scoring, I think, really stands out when you're looking at what Bertuzzi and Domi have brought so far. And, we've seen a lot of different line combinations, and there's another new set tonight because, really I think that's a sign of how little has worked around the top players on the team. And, Sheldon Keefe's out there trying to find something that clicks.
CJ, what have you made over John Cooper's press in Toronto? It seems like he really understands what's going on in Toronto, how to kind of turn it into maybe a pot shot and just work it into his team's motivation for games when they face the Leafs.
Well, he's a master at that. I mean, it's not just Toronto. I've noticed this. I covered the Lightning in a few playoff series that weren't Leafs on the other side of it, and he just always has a good blend of awareness of what's being said publicly, of what the other team might be contending, and then he's got that lawyer's way of just delivering sort of different sounding clips than most other head coaches in the league. And
really subtle messages, huh?
Well, I noticed today, Masters asked him a question about his team's toughness, and he turned it into this whole thing that you didn't have to crane your neck too much to understand. He might be aware of some of the discussion that's going on around the Leafs. I mean, it's good for our business, and his team's done so much winning. I think he can do it. Who's he got to answer to? I mean, he's been to 4 Stanley Cup Finals with that group, and I'm pretty sure last time I checked, they won the most games since he's been head coach. So I think
knows what he's doing.
Moments in front of the mic. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't alone. Like Stamkos, maybe it was Masters that asked Stamkos too. Masters was just going back and forth trying to ask people about the Leafs and their scene on Thursday in Boston, which I believe they were collectively embarrassed by. They should be embarrassed by. And I guess they addressed it the next day in a meeting. And Sheldon Keefe was very blunt on Saturday, saying that he hated everything about the lack of response on Thursday night. Then you get Cooper coming in here and talking subtly about their team toughness. And why don't we play the Stamkos clip? I'd be curious to get your take on how you think the Leafs will react to this, if at all. Here's what Steven Stamkos had to say about team toughness earlier this morning.
That's just the expectation and, kind of the mindset we've always had is just, when things happen on the ice, intentional or not, you stick up for yourself, stick up for your teammates. I think that's something you kind of learn at a young age, growing up playing this sport. So I know there's been a lot of talk of it here lately, but there's different situations on the ice, different times of games that you have to react in different situations, and whatever we've done, and we'll leave it at that.
What do you make of that, CJ? And how would you expect the Leafs to react to a comment like that?
Well, I mean, you'd like to see them react on the ice in some way, right? I mean, this is where this whole thing stems from. I mean, I don't know that we can draw any parallels between the way the Leafs have played the last number of years and the Lightning. And I'm not talking about, obviously, Tampa's won the Cup, but, I mean, you've just seen their top guys do play with more edge. I don't think that that's a hot take. I mean, Kucherov can snap out there at any given moment. I mean, even Point plays with some edge. We saw Stamkos and Kucherov jumping in, on that play in last year's playoffs when Riley and Point, get caught up and Point crashes into the end boards. I mean, it definitely is part of what the Lightning have been, and I think the question in Toronto is going to be, can the Leafs adopt some of that attitude? I don't think it's just a matter of fighting. I think it's engaging and sticking up for one another and all those things, being a team that's collectively tough-minded and doesn't shrink in those moments, doesn't back down from those challenges. I'm sure the Stamkos one got noticed by someone, but it's hard to say that. I don't think he's stirring any pots there. I think that the Lightning have lived it. We've all seen it in their playoff runs and even just the way they do things in the regular season. And Brad Treliving has said he wants the Leafs to have more of that, and so far, I think the jury's out, or it's not. We haven't seen those changes yet. Now it's only 11 games into the season. There's still time for it, but I think that's what we're all gauging to see if that happens a little bit more.
No, Navage. I told you, Navage on the bench. There's no snot. There's no snot.
Navage
is
that commercial where they like?
I had to think. I thought it was like some kind of word, and then I was like, "That's that water
Navage."
Machine.
It's like a machine that they're just bubbling water that shoots up your nose.
Yeah,
right?
It's a clear nasal cavity.
No snot on the bench.
No, not right now. And again, my theory is, and I'm going to stick with it, and I saw it the other night, is it doesn't matter who you bring in, CJ. Tell Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Mitch Marner, William Nylander decide that they're going to be different. It's completely irrelevant. Doesn't matter who you have. You could have Reeves, Janot, Lucic, everyone else, toughest guys in the league.
Right. They had O'Reilly, they had Shen.
Yeah.
We can go back
Doesn't
and
matter.
back and back.
Those guys need to prove that they can be different. And I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, like what if they go out there and fake it? Like what is that going to do for you?
Well, you can't fake it, right? It's going to be spontaneous. Like I said earlier, something's going to happen in 30 games. Marner's going to get elbowed.
Right.
And then we'll see. Then we'll see. If it's a drive-by looking at the ref asking for 5 minutes, then we'll have our answer.
Yeah. Well,
But my guess will be it'll be a look at the ref asking for 5 minutes. So
yeah, that's
What you're looking for, I think you're looking for reaction too, right? You don't want anyone thinking. You want to see a play where the first reaction is going to the defense, and that's what you haven't seen enough of.
Right. Well, could be worse. You could be in San Jose, CJ, where I guess Mike Greer, their GM, had a meeting with the players and effectively challenged them and said, that's the most embarrassing thing I've seen in a long time in the NHL.
Yeah.
Back-to-back 10 spots.
You just
don't go at the players. It's like you assembled a garbage team trying to be bad. What the hell are you expecting? I know the 10s got your attention.
Yeah, lose by 9 next time. That's
not good.
That's gross, CJ. It's so far. I don't know. What's the timeline in San Jose? 2030? When could they possibly turn that around?
It's going to be a long time. Because part of the problem they have, and they've at least made a couple moves, but they're locked into long contracts there, right? They're still their rebuild couldn't start the way some teams would want, where you're trading a bunch of guys away because they had these guys on long-term deals, and they oddly signed one more in the middle of all that. But last year that ended, they traded away Timo Meier. They found a way to move Brent Burns the summer before. The Carlson deal to Pittsburgh in this summer. They started to do the job, but I feel like they couldn't dismantle as quickly as a team would want to because of the commitments they were locked into. And so the build up is going to take a while. And, that's the other part of that team. When I look at it, they don't have a young roster. I know they got prospects and reason to hope for the future, but they got a lot of veteran players. I can't even imagine being 0-10-1, having seen 20 goals against at home in the last 2 games. And, you played 600 or 700 games in the league. That's a long, long year. Those guys, some of them are hoping to get traded, but what value does anyone have when you're part of that roster either? So
I grabbed one defenseman from there, that Ferraro kid.
Mm-hmm. That's your guy?
That's King
my
City
guy.
boy right there.
Is it?
That's a guy that I think you pick at the carcass there, and if you have injuries and stuff, you do it sooner. You call up and say, take that kid off your hands.
Right, because San Jose would make deals at this point. Why not?
I don't know if you can swing it, not in this market, but there's other teams, I guarantee you, if you can swing it, grab them.
Okay.
Who the hell else would you want? Not too many guys on that roster you circling saying.
Well, not at Hurdle's money, right? Hurdle makes too much. But there's other guys, but that Ferraro kid is
okay.
A player.
Ferraro, that's our guy. We're circling him. All right, CJ. Thank you, buddy. Enjoy the games tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be good. See you guys.
Yes. All right. Go Eagles. Chris Johnston joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Build your next dream Toyota at Maple Toyota and check out Maple Toyota's pre-owned inventory arriving daily. It's time to Toyota. Visit mapletoyota.com.
You guys took it easy on his Cowboys.
We didn't bring up the Cowboys.
I know.
Too much going on in the rest of the country right now.
Waiting for a Cowboys comment, and I think he was waiting for it too.
Usually we do jab at him.
Yeah.
You're right. We'll save that for Pierre. We'll get to LeBron later this week, and he'll hear about it.
Yeah.
Frankie Corrado's all bent out of shape because we're not giving him a chance to explain
What,
You
the
were the
bag
one
with wheels?
Yeah, you went public with the idea that he has a hockey bag with wheels on it.
Let's call him at 6:45 and see what he has to say. He might have a report on the Canucks. He said they're pretty damn
All
good.
right.
Yeah, he was at the game the other night. He was messaging me from the game.
Yeah. He was out there with his wheeler bag.
Yeah, with the bag with wheels on
He's
it.
just frothing right now. He's so upset
so
right
mad.
Yeah.
He's so mad.
Well, it's a reputation he's got to uphold.
He
right?
said he has an explanation.
Okay,
What
we'll let him explain it. We owe him that. Turn a like into Leafs tickets by following TSN 1050 on Instagram. This week, we're giving away a pair of tickets to see the Leafs take on the Canucks November 11th. I'm going down to that game, actually. I'll be down there.
I will, yeah. November
That's Saturday
11th.
night. This Saturday. I'll be down there.
Well,
Are you going to be down there?
I think so.
All right, little rendezvous down there. We'll see what happens. To enter, follow us on Instagram at TSN 1050. Like our latest Leafs giveaway post. Tell us who you'd bring to the game in the comments, and we'll announce the winner Wednesday right here on Overdrive. You going down, Alumni Box?
No, I'll be down there
Oh,
Friday night.
that's what I'm going. The
Friday's the
Friday
Calgary
night,
game.
Flames.
That's the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, that's the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
I'm going that
Saturday.
night.
There's goes Ottawa Wednesday, Calgary Friday, Vancouver Saturday.
That's
a great Canadian run here.
It
in
is a
town.
good.
That'll be a
Tampa here
meaty
tonight.
game on Wednesday.
That absolutely. Ottawa hasn't played since
Yeah.
Kachuk said what he said. DJ Smith going through what he's going through. The Leafs are obviously, they got a homestand here. They're going to Sweden.
That would be a good penne pesto night.
That would be a really good
Yeah,
pesto.
Friday night.
Okay, you guys will be down there
down.
Friday. I'll be there representing the show on Saturday.
Yeah.
You guys can sign pucks and jerseys and take pictures with kids that don't really want pictures.
Nobody recognizes me at the games. He's
That's
on the
not true.
Jumbotron, and you're in a suit in the box waving
At people.
I do.
I
wave at
literally sit in
people.
the stands and just hang out.
That's not true at all.
Yeah.
I don't believe that for a second.
yeah, it's true.
Well, everyone needs to find noodles on Friday
I
night.
was
Now you've done it.
No.
Now it's going
I
to be
was at
people
the
yelling at
Chicago
you.
game. It just sit in the stands. It was awesome. Watch the. Bernard
You were in the
kid play.
seats.
Yeah, had
Yeah, we were
good
up in
seats.
the
That was
alumni box.
That kid's
was a
got
good
5
setup.
goals now. Eh?
I
Where are you
know.
at with him?
You could maybe
Yeah.
go up there and see Tyler.
He's a good player. I don't know. What do you want me to say?
You could maybe sneak up there on Saturday and talk to Tyler and get a chicken tender. And
No, I wouldn't possibly. All right, maybe I will.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll pop in and see my guy. All right. Scottie Barnes, electric yesterday. We'll get into it. And James Harden making his Clippers debut tonight. What kind of night are we expecting out of James Harden?
No, I'm not expecting much.
Okay. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Canada's largest demo club sale at Gulftown has been extended until Wednesday. We love it. To celebrate, here's your chance to win a $500 Gulftown gift card. All right, we're giving away a $500 Gulftown gift card. The 10th caller right now at 416-870-1050. 416-870-1050 not only gets to chat with Doogie, which is worth probably a lot of money, I would think, you're also picking up a $500 Gulftown gift card. 416-870-1050. 10th caller through right now. Gulftown's demo club sale is your chance to save up to 40% on gently used demo clubs from top brands like TaylorMade, Ping, Callaway, Cobra, Mizuno, and more. Details, of course, at the website, golftown.com. All right, there you go. End of the golf season. This is when it's time to get in there, though, right? You got to get in there, get your gear. It's actually a great time to buy stuff because then you'll be flying come the spring.
Dude, it's so depressing. We talked about it today. It's like you deal with the first couple months, but then you get to like end of December and you're like, I'm still 4 months from golfing.
Mm-hmm. I know.
It's a tough time.
It's really
It's a
incredibly
tough time.
bittersweet. Well, even like I left my house early this afternoon. Sunny, 10 degrees.
You could have teed it today.
Dude, where I play, our greens were like Augusta greens.
Really?
On Saturday. I played my final round.
And they just shut the course down and said, you're
Yeah.
not welcome back?
Well, you have to have a closing date. It's like everywhere else.
Come on.
But I'm
Couldn't have
walking up.
extended it one more week?
I don't know. I don't know how it works.
They're
but
not
like,
going to do it for one day.
No, that's the thing. And it was like a pocket of like an hour where it was sunny. But I'm like, I'll bet you those greens are glistening right now. Like they are butter. They're in perfect shape. And they could be being played, and they're not. And then what are you going to do? Something to chew on brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. From touchdowns to tie bites and puck drops to pizza, BP's elite lineup of apps, wings, and ice cold beers, always dialed in for game time. Hustle into your local BP. Tonight we're asking, I think this is an obvious answer. Like, is Scottie Barnes now the man in Toronto? Like, is it Scottie Barnes' team? And when you consider how he what he did yesterday in the fourth quarter in particular,
man.
No, I know, but he's been really good this season. Like it's early, but let me find it.
They're 2-4.
They're 3-4 now.
3-4.
3-4. That was a big comeback win. They were down deep yesterday. Wemby was feeling it. San Antonio feeling it.
They're 7 games in. I'm not ready.
It's very early. It's very. But here's the thing. Let me look. Let me run down his stat line. Okay. And this was going into yesterday. 22 points, 24, 20, 21, 24, 30. He had 30 yesterday. Like, this guy is putting up numbers, and he's shooting. Everything's going through him. Now, it's at the expense of Siakam. Like, if I'm Pascal Siakam, I'm starting to freak. He shot 2 for 12 yesterday, which is a terrible percentage. But the fact that he only attempted 12 field goals, Anunoby attempted 16, Barnes was 9 for 20, Dennis Schroeder was 10 for 19. Jakob Poeltl was 8 for 10. Like, that would suggest Siakam is like basically a fourth option on offense. That's going to have to change at some point.
Well, you've been saying that for 7 games.
But that's the concern. Like, if I'm playing the role of Siakam and his representative, I'm like, what is happening here? Like, clearly it's Scottie Barnes, OG Anunoby.
Right.
You know, the new coach is really filtering through him, and he deserves it because Barnes has been outstanding and Siakam hasn't played very well. But it's one thing to not shoot well. It's another thing to not even get shots off, and that's happened a lot early with Siakam.
Is that spendy, or is that just the scenario where it's going to be like Freddie VanVleet, where someone's going to hand him the bag and that's going to happen regardless?
I think he's going to get paid anyway because he's got a track record, and other teams will say, well, we'll use him differently. But I think what it begs the question is, if he keeps underperforming or his stats aren't great and you decide to trade him, does his value drop between now and the trade? Right? Like, if you're an acquiring team, are you paying for Siakam a year or two ago, or are you paying for a Siakam that isn't putting up big numbers?
Well, if you're Toronto, you obviously don't want to trade him anytime soon.
No.
You have to wait till he picks up some steam and then say, see you later.
That's the play. If you're committed to moving from him,
we've been saying that with all the other guys for the last couple, and they just wait it out and wait till the end and nothing happens.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing about like the Masai lack of plan, or the perception that there's no. The plan very well could have been, we're waiting for Scottie Barnes to develop into a superstar. And if that is happening here, that's a huge development, bigger than anything else that you could really think of.
And then you start, once he pushes through, then you start to surround him.
Exactly. It's like, now you got a guy. Now you got a guy, and
then
we'll
you have
figure
to add
everything
another guy.
Which you have to.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to find depth, and you got to, I don't know if they have the right coach. We'll see. It's been 7 games. But all the Van Vliet leaving, Lowry leaving, Siakam possibly leaving, if Barnes is a superstar, you got something. Like in the NBA, if you get a top 10 player, you got something.
Yeah.
What's your Jerry's percentage on this guy being a top 10 player?
51%.
Really?
Which is still a lot. You know, I think at a minimum he's a top 25 player. Like, he's playing like one right now. Top 10 in the NBA is tough to crack, man. Like, there's you got to be a consistent,
exclusive.
Yes, you got to be a stud. But he's got the tools to do it. He gets that shot cooking the way he's been shooting early in the year. Defensively, he's good. He's smart. He's got handles. He's got length.
What if this Grady Dick ends up being a player?
Could be significant too, right? At some point, they're going to need that. Surround him with shooting.
God, he looks so young out there.
Yeah.
Well, he's a kid.
I know he does, but he literally looks like a kid out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can.
Contest winner.
Yes,
that's what he looks.
He does. He's.
I mean,
very,
that's a joke.
very
Like,
young.
I mean,
no.
You know what happens is somebody brings a kid to work or whatever, and the kid, but I think he's going to be a player. I just like he's got something. I like.
Yeah, I think he's embraced the moment, right? He's
Like,
stuck to his guns in terms of who he is, and
yeah,
it's early. He's 7 games into his career. Like,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, they need that to pay off too, right? Like, he was a high pick. He was a first-round pick.
Yeah.
James Harden making his debut in LA tonight.
How do you think that's going to?
Actually, I think it might go okay. I saw a stat earlier. Let me find it here. His debut. Now, again, everything's different. Everywhere it's different. But his debuts, his Houston debut, now that's years ago. He had 37 points, 12 assists. His Nets debut, he had 32 points, 12 boards, 14 assists. He had a triple-double. And his Sixers debut, he had 27 points, 12 assists, 8 boards. So he is known for showing up and performing.
How many years would you have to rewind for you to say no one is touching the Clippers with that roster?
2019, probably, because Kawhi's got to be at his height, right?
Yeah.
Paul George at his height, Westbrook. Like, it wouldn't even work 4 years ago, it would have been absurd to have those 4 guys on the same
I know,
team.
but you would have said nobody can touch those guys.
Nobody could touch those guys. You're right.
And now you're wondering, is this even going to work?
I don't think it will work.
You don't think it'll work?
No, I don't think it'll work. I think they're too aged. Like Westbrook's not who he was. Kawhi's always hurt or never seems to be anywhere close to 100%. Harden, isn't what he was. They're all very good players.
Is Kawhi even healthy right now?
Yeah, he's been playing he's on and off. That's what he's going to be. Like the rest of his career, the guy's going to miss a ton of time.
Yeah. No guarantee.
Still get paid, doesn't care. They just need him healthy come playoff time. But we'll see. Yeah, you're right, though. That's a good point. Like 3 or 4 years ago, that would have been insane to see.
A super team.
Insane to see. And now there's a ton of doubt. Like it would be surprising if it worked. But they're an intriguing team. Like I'll give the Clippers credit. I'll give Steve Ballmer credit. I think they got that new stadium opening soon. Probably next year, I think it might be in LA.
Ballmer's just put some cash into that.
Didn't they rip down the old Forum and build a new stadium?
Yeah, right there, right by the donuts.
Toilets, the toilets.
Yeah, he's got more toilets than anywhere else in the world.
Fired up. Randy's Donuts is right there on the corner.
Randy's Donuts.
What's
up, Doogie? You got something for us?
Well, you were talking about Harden's debuts. On FanDuel Sportsbook, only 14.5 over-under tonight.
Really? 14.5 points?
That's it.
I'd hammer the over on that.
Doogie, that's a great pluck. Great job.
Way to work, Doogie. Dude, very professional sounding there, Doogie. Did you hear
the voice
of it, like a legend.
Mm-hmm. Attaboy Doogie, that's good. Yeah, I would hammer the over on that because I think they're saying there might be a bit of a pitch clock tonight for him in terms of minutes. He's going to play.
Yeah.
He's going to put up shots. In LA,
but if it doesn't
he's
go
got an
well,
after party cooking tonight.
Dude, I would hammer the under on that.
Under.
Hammer.
Okay.
I'll do a side wage.
I'll do a side
500.
You got yourself a deal.
Sideways 500 that he doesn't get 14 points.
Yeah. They're at the Garden tonight. They're in New York. So this guy, it's at the Mecca.
And it's the scores.
It's New York. He's got something cooking post game. You think he's walking in to one of the great establishments known to man with 13 points?
He has the Scores VIP vehicle waiting for him after.
Underground.
Yes.
They have access to the bottom floor of the Garden.
Yeah.
Under 14 for sure.
No.
Guy hasn't played, man.
Doesn't matter. He's a machine. He'll show up. He's out of shape. He'll jack shots. He'll hit point. He'll make it happen tonight. All right, Jets, Chargers, Monday nighter tonight. You got Leafs, Lightning. You've got Oilers, Canucks. This could be a great night for a Monday, man.
We got Frankie's wheel bag.
Okay, should we come back and call him on the fly? We got to give him an opportunity to explain himself.
To defend himself.
We've done him dirty. We're getting texts. He's not happy. Frankie Corrado will explain himself.
The wheel bag.
The wheel bag out in Vancouver. Did it happen? If it did, what's the explanation? That and our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. We'll do that next. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I'm feeling a bit hokey here. I'm going to go with Nick Robertson anytime goal scorer tonight.
Oh,
Pay him big plus money. It just feels like a moment for him tonight. I think it's a huge opportunity. It kind of feels like he's got to grab his career here, getting called up.
Yeah.
And the yes prop to a goal in the first 10 minutes. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Today's best bets. I don't know why I am Ron Burgundying this. It's the same line twice, and I literally have read it twice for a week.
That's all right.
Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. FanDuel's goal in 10 minutes is the most electric bet in hockey and can be included in a same-game parlay on any NHL game. Please play responsibly. 18+, physically located in Ontario. We're hammering it tonight. Yes, in the first 10 minutes.
You could be Burgundy. It could be worse. You could have a wheel bag.
I could have a wheel bag. Do we have Frankie Wheels on the line here?
Frankie Wheels.
Bring him in, Frankie Wheels.
Frankie Wheels. Explain yourself. What's up here?
Well, I was having a great day today. Spent a nice day with my wife, and we were in the car together, and I heard what you guys were talking about, and my phone started blowing up, and she looks at me from the passenger seat and goes, "You have a wheelie bag?" And now my day and night is potentially ruined here.
First question, Frank. Is it true?
It is true. It is true. Yes, I do.
Man.
I do have a wheelie bag, but I need you to hear the explanation, okay? When I went to the KHL, I went over with my Belleville Senators hockey bag. When I got there, they swapped that out for the team-issued wheelie bag because we take these bags through the airport. It's not the NHL where people handle your bags for you. You got to take them to the berth. So we had the wheelie bags. I got hurt. I flew back to Canada. I left all my stuff there with the intentions of, I'm coming back. It's all going to be good. No. That wasn't the case. It was curtains on my career. What happened was I needed guys to go pack up my apartment, pack up my equipment, all that stuff, and I got it shipped home. When I opened the box at home, they gave me the wheelie bag, and they kept my Belleville Senators hockey bag. So that's what I got. I got the wheelie bag. I'm not going to go buy a hockey bag. I played in the NHL. I'm not going to Canadian Tire to buy a hockey bag. So I don't know what to tell you guys, but at first I resisted it. I was carrying the thing everywhere. And then one time I rolled this thing and I was like, this is kind of nice. I don't mind this. So I've embraced the wheelie bag.
Well, you can't say you're too cool to go to Canadian Tire to buy a hockey bag because you used a wheelie bag. Like, that's a loser move.
Yeah.
So be a loser and go buy a hockey bag. Like, pick your poison.
I guess, yeah. I guess I could go buy a hockey bag.
Was there any, were you self-conscious at all? Like, when you're walking in the room, wheeling, like, we're talking, you were in Vancouver at an alumni event. Was that what you were doing?
Yeah, so, okay, shout out.
Like, was Trevor Linden in there? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Dave Babbage?
Dave Babbage.
So Babs, by the way, the godfather of mustaches, Dave Babbage. Yes. When you see this thing in person, it blows you away. So, anyways, all the guys are there. Shout out to the Canucks Autism Network. I think they raised $1.6 million this past year for autism programs in BC, so it was nice to be out there. Really good group of guys, Brad May, Matthew Barnaby, Derek Roy, Mason Raymond, a lot of great guys. So I don't know who the rat was, Jeff, but I do have a couple suspects in mind.
Just name one suspect, and I'll tell you if it's true.
We'll talk off the air.
Okay. I got a feeling. Those names you just mentioned, I got a feeling. I think I know who it was.
Well, you might have mentioned his name.
I think I know who it was.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Frankie, we allowed you to explain yourself. You have, but you've actually just confirmed
that
the
you
report.
have a wheelie bag. Yes.
Yeah, you confirmed the report that you're wheeling in your hockey equipment to alumni events.
They could take away the alumni jacket for that offense, I think.
I can't believe I'm catching shrapnel from two guys that have never walked a golf course in their life.
Well, that's
valid. And I'm listening to this.
Yeah, but I think that's the opposite. We're cool because we ride in cars.
There's a lot of stuff we need to do in the cart.
Yeah, exactly. That's wheeling your bag around in a push cart's the same as wheeling your hockey equipment around.
It's double loser.
Here we go.
Yeah,
here we go.
Exactly. Carts for life, man.
Yes.
All day.
I will not take any slander on the push cart. That's where I draw the line.
The truth is, I actually walked 9 the other day, and my guy Roger, who's always at the first tee, he was in shock, and he called it into the club. He's like, "You're not going to believe this, but Hayes is going to walk." I was like, "I'm playing 9, Raj. I'm not playing 18." And
you had to call it in to record.
You had to call it in because they just naturally put me down as a cart, like in perpetuity for the rest of time.
Oh, I think they had to let the pro shop know to get a medic available.
Yes.
Just in case.
There's a lot of guys that play the role early in the season. One of them's our buddy. Walked like the first round. He's like, no, walking,
doing it,
just riding the cart the rest of the season.
You walk
the next day in the cart.
You walked the first time?
No, Tux. I guarantee it's Tux. This year I'm walking.
Tux did. I'll out him. I remember seeing him like in April. He was walking. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, new me, man. I'm walking. I'm going to start walking. The next day, cart
rolls up in a cart.
And I didn't see him walk again the rest of the year. He was committed.
Some people need a little one-stop shop in the cart. There's a few things going
on
that you need to tend to in there.
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. Yeah. All right, Frankie. Well, it's all good, man. I'm glad. Listen, it was a charity, and that's what's important. They raised a lot of money for a great cause. So we support that.
I'm going to get a new hockey bag. I think I got to go get a new hockey bag.
Get an old school, duffel bag. Those are the ones, nostalgic.
If the Leafs will give you an alumni hockey bag. There you go.
That would be good. I have a feeling it was Barnaby. I'm not going to lie. I think Barnaby.
It had to be Barnaby.
I think it was Barnaby.
Was
You're
it?
damn right it was Matthew Barnaby. You're damn right it was Matthew Barnaby.
When you said his name, I'm like, I know exactly who filtered that information.
Yeah, and it was a very simple message. Your boy Corrado had a wheelie back.
Just a text.
And I said, no way.
Oh, that's great. Barney
I'll tell
just
you what,
sewering
like Barnaby was the first star of the whole weekend on and off the ice.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there.
Okay, we'll
First
leave it
star.
there. Shout out. All right, Frankie. Enjoy the games tonight, buddy. We'll see you again soon.
All right, see you, boys.
There's Frankie Corrado. Wheelie bag.
Yeah, your boy had a wheelie bag, Corrado. It was a sad text.
That was it, eh?
That's tough to respond to, man. But it's all good. Frankie's he's a man of the people out there in
He
Vancouver.
is, yep. Crowd
As he
favorite.
should be. Absolutely. All right, Leafs in action tonight. Monday nighter tonight, Chargers, Jets. If you're wondering, Timo and Wilson, they're on the Jets. They're taking the points. New York +3 at home. It's a big one. Big swing game tonight. Oilers, Vancouver.
A late one.
Something's happening tonight.
I'm staying up for that one.
I am too. I can't wait to watch that game.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
I don't know.
I like Edmonton big tonight.
Really? I can't get a
Leafs
read on that.
into Monday Night Football into the Oil game.
It's
Outstanding.
pretty good. Yeah, it's a pretty good couching.
Shout out to Kevin Gosman, nominated for the Cy Young. Now,
Nice.
like we all know, Cole's going to run away with that, probably unanimously, but still, nomination, that's pretty good stuff. Gosman was unreal this year.
Yeah.
All right, thanks to everyone behind the scenes. We appreciate all the help, as always. Everyone for tuning in today, radio, TV, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.